Hey everyone, David Aragona here with Craig Milkowski. A big day of racing coming up on Saturday at Belmont Park, and we're going to talk about the first of their four graded stakes races. It's the fourth race, the Grade 2 Miss Grillo for the two-year-old fillies going a mile and a 16th on the inner turf course. Just six signed on as they throw up the field for this race. But Craig, it seems like there are three pretty talented fillies in this race coming out of maiden events at Saratoga, and of course, Chad Brown holds a strong hand with two contenders.
Yeah, it's not, I don't think the most interesting handicap puzzle that we're going to talk about this week, but it looks like it does have some quality, and I would imagine there's some Breeders' Cup Juvenile filly implications here.
Yes, Hale 2 and McCulloch both become out of maiden victories at Saratoga. Kinchin coming off a narrow loss to Hale 2. We'll see if some of the others who are stretching out in distance can get involved in the mix as well. Those other horses will be involved in the early pace as we take a look at the pace projector for this race. The long shot number 2, Charlie O, predicted to be on the front end. And Greg, I don't have a problem with that. I think she's likely to show speed, given that she showed speed going just 6 furlongs in her career debut.
Yeah, I would imagine she does. She's a horse who's shown speed sprinting. I don't think she's much of a contender in here. We do have it labeled as a race that's going to favor a horse on or near the early lead. But in a field this small, I don't really think it's that big of a deal in the pace projector. A big part of the problem on turf when the pace is slow is that a lot of horses tend to get bunched up and they tend to get stuck in traffic or buried on the rail. And it's a little easier not to get in that kind of trouble in a small 6-horse field like this.
And given the running lines of horses like the number 3 Hale 2 and the number 6 McCulloch, some people might be surprised to see them shown so close to the early leader on this pace projector. But as we get into the replay of McCulloch's debut victory, I think the reason for that, Craig, is the fact that the pace of this race for McCulloch was pretty quick up front, and she made a nice move around the far turn to get into contention. And I just love the way she finishes off this race to beat this field and one of her Chad Brown trained stablemates.
Yeah, it was a big effort from her. Some might say that she got a great setup, and it's hard to argue that she didn't. The pace was very fast, particularly for 2-year-old fillies. We had pace figures well into the 130s early in the race, but she was able to. It's not like she was a million lengths behind. She was 6 lengths behind after a quarter mile, so she has some pretty good tactical speed. Obviously, was able to rate in behind horses and showed a really nice finishing kick. Her speed figure in here of a 106 is better than anybody else in the field. So I think she's the logical favorite.
Yeah, she seems like the kind of horse that could be among the favorites for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies turf for Chad Brown, as long as she clears this hurdle and wins this race in impressive fashion. And obviously, that's a long way to go. She's got to do it on Saturday and actually show up. But she won her debut like one that could be pretty talented. And that 106 time Formula speed figure that she got for her debut, that's pretty high for a 2-year-old filly in the summer. And that number is proven to be legitimate because the runner-up, Consumer Spending, another Chad Brown trainee, she came out of that race to win impressively by 4 lengths in her second start at Saratoga. The 4th place finisher, Penny Saver for Ken McPeak, came back and won very impressively last week on the dirt at Churchill Downs. And the 5th place finisher, Schuylerville for Jonathan Thomas, came back and won on the synthetic up at Woodbine. So it's been a live race and seems like one that was legitimately strong. If she repeats it, McCulloch is going to be pretty tough to beat.
Yeah, the one thing I'd say is fast paces tend to produce fast speed figures, particularly on turf. So if somebody wanted to downgrade her a few points, I mean, I guess I could see that, but it also usually is a sign of a strong race and when the horses keep coming back and running well. So I tend to lean more in that direction personally.
Another reason to like McCulloch, as well as her Chad Brown stablemate Kinchin, is that Chad Brown has great stats if you look up this formulator fact, with horses in their second starts trying graded stakes, turf routes that are 2-year-olds. He's 8 for 21 over the past 5 years, 38% win rate with a positive ROI, which you don't often find for Chad Brown, given how strongly his horses get bet. Now, McCulloch is going to be a short price in this race, but you might get a slightly better price on Kinchin, and this stat applies to both of them. And don't think this stat does not apply to Kinchin, because a few horses in this sample actually were maidens coming into their graded stakes attempts and won. So I think both of these horses, it bodes well for each of their chances.
Yeah, I've got no
Take a
problem
look
with
at
Kinchin in here. No,
Let's
go
take a
ahead. My
look
bad.
at the last race of Hail 2 and Kinchin, who are coming out of the same maiden event on August 29th at Saratoga. Hail 2 was the more experienced of the two coming into this race. This was her second career start, whereas Kinchin was making her career debut. And as you see, Kinchin has to alter course at the top of the stretch here. And at about the 16th pole, you're going to see her run into a little bit of trouble, kind of getting sandwiched between horses, whereas Hail 2 has that unencumbered run on the outside.
Yeah, I think these two are the obvious ones to beat. I'm not as enamored with Kinchin as I am Hale 2 personally. I do know Kinchin had a little bit of trouble inside, but he also saved ground every step of the way. And Hale 2 showed me something that you don't often see from young turf fillies, and that is just a long, sustained run to the wire. She was uncovered a long way through the stretch and just kept on going. So I like that. So out of the two, I do prefer her a little bit to Kinchin, but honestly, neither one of them would surprise me at all.
Craig, you know that I'll be rooting for Hail 2 because she is the full sister to one of my favorites, the recently retired Sadler's Joy. And based on that pedigree, you'd imagine that she's one who could continue to improve with added starts and added experience and added ground. So she took a big step forward from start number 1 to start number 2. So it wouldn't be a surprise to see her move forward again. But I don't want to discount the other Chad Brown runner, Kinchin. She did break slowly in addition to having that stretch trouble. But as you said, being so far back early in that race may have actually been a benefit to her, given all those red color-coded pace figures. I think it helped a horse coming from so far back. They can all improve, and we'll see what happens as they tackle this stakes race on Saturday at Belmont Park. We'll throw up our picks for this race. We both landed on the same horse, Craig, not getting too creative in this one. The number 6, McCulloch, just seems like if she improves at all on that impressive debut victory, she's going to be tough for these to handle.
Yes, her speed figure as the speed figure guy for Timeform US, I think it was totally legit. I expect her to run even better. I don't think a lack of pace is going to hurt her too much in here because she looked like a pretty versatile filly to me. So I think she's obviously the horse to beat. The two behind her, Hail 2 and Kinchin, look like the obvious contenders, and I wouldn't go much farther than that. Anything else would be a stretch for me.
Yeah, this perhaps not the most interesting betting race among the stakes that they're running on Saturday at Belmont Park, with both of us landing on the favorite here and the other two probably not being that large of a price. But there are some other interesting stakes races that at Belmont Park on Saturday. There are previews of those. We just did a preview of the Belmont Sprint Invitational. Dan and Mike also doing previews of the Champagne and Woodward and other stakes previews you can check out on Daily Racing Form's YouTube channel, with Brad Free covering some of the Santa Anita Stakes races. So check out all of that. Make sure to subscribe to the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel. Thanks for tuning into this video, and good luck if you're playing on Saturday.